Updating the core plans. After the changes have been approved, it is important to update our core plans. That means the plans that are related to our key project constraints of scope, schedule, budget, and quality. And it's important that these plans are integrated, that any changes that are going to be happening to any one of these elements, the analysis includes what is the impact to the other components of the constraints in the project. As we learned before, we know that if we're going to be adding any type of a scope to our project, we need to make sure that we have the corresponding increase in budget and in the schedule so that we can maintain our quality standards in the project. As part of the process of updating the plans, we're going to look at the importance of how the integration of these three elements are always related to any changes that happen in the project. When we have changes in the project scope, usually is because there is activity that is no longer required, or more activities are needed, a new outcome is added, and that means that we're going to be working with our BWS. So it's a way to look at where that change is happening and how it's going to be impacting our WBS. We update the WBS, meaning that we look at those activities, where they're going to be located. We make sure that they have the corresponding numbers. We're deleting activities. We're adding activities to another output, or we are adding an entire output to the WBS. We follow the same process when we are creating the WBS, making sure that we have all the activities that are needed to achieve that output, that we have the corresponding codes, and we have enough information and details on those activities. We then, based on that, we can look and see, we update our schedule, see if there are any changes. Changes that happen to the schedule, we need to make sure that we have the updates that are coming from the team. We may have changes because of their new estimates, changes to plan activities. There could be, again, new activities, also new dependencies, and also a new critical path. We look at our Gantt chart, and now we have the information on the percentage that has been completed. So we know those activities that are now 100% complete, like that activity, and also another activity is 100% complete. Right now, we look at how we can then update our information in our projects, looking at the months that are remaining on the project. We look at activities that may have changed, so we highlight them, make sure that the information is now represented in the Gantt chart, and the corresponding estimates and dependencies are also identified. The changes to the schedule usually means that it can also be a new critical path as we start making progress or adding new activities. And our original critical path was here, but we are adding new activities or making changes, and we now discovered that we have a different critical path. And that's an important step in reviewing our schedule, because those changes in the critical path means that now there is another set of activities that will require most of our attention to make sure there is not specific delays on those activities. When we update in the critical path, we also make sure that our schedule is representing all those changes. Here's a nice example of a complete Gantt chart where we can see the progress made to date in some of the activities that are now completed. We can see all over the new activities, and the activities in red marked our critical path. Then the next step is that we need to update our budget management plans, meaning that there can be updates coming from what we have already spent on the project, and we can have also new cost estimates, changes to plan activities, and also new activities. When we look at our budget accounts, we now look at all the information that represents what we already achieved, all the money that was already spent, and what remains. So looking forward, we need to make sure that if there are any changes in those funds allocated to the different accounts, they are identified, and then again that we know what is our budget available. Once we got all those three plans, we make sure that we create a new baseline for the core plans. We are updating information on our WS, our Gantt charts, S-curve, and even quality control charts. They are updated and they reflect the new changes so that people can follow those plans and implement the correct actions.